Hi everyone, and thank you for joining us today for this Lunch and Learn session as part of the Read Women in Tech community. We are joined by our lovely friend Sikemi Tayo, who's going to run us through a session about making the what's the title, Sikemi? What's the actual title
Before
going for?
before the shift.
Before the shift. So it's all about
Yeah.
how to prepare yourself for a move into a tech career or a move between tech careers or any other kind of career transitions, I guess. So without further ado, if you want to lead us off, mate, over to you.
All right. Hello everybody. My name is Sikemi and I'm happy to be here. Heads up, this is going to be an interactive session. So please plan, even if you're having lunch, please plan to chime in as much as you can so that you can get the best out of it. Quick intro about myself, even though I'll talk a bit more during the call. 9 to 5. I'm in technology and operations transformation, so I like to call myself a CTOO. And I'll also talk about why I'm combining those two things as well. But then 247, I am a fitness coach, and I like to put that as well. So I kind of have two personas, depending on which one you're saying, right? All right. So without further something, let me share my screen. And then once I share my screen, I'm going to turn off my camera just so that I'm not distracting as well. Okay, we are 9 on the call, so I would like 3 people to either tell me verbally or with a chat that they can see my screen that says welcome. 3 over 9. That's like a good fraction.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see you.
All right. Okay, I have fantastic. I can. Oh, you're already answering, so that already lets me know that you can see it. All right, so I'm going to turn off my camera now, just so that I'm not distracting as well. All right, so quick poll, right? So which state best describes you? It'll be nice to hear your answers. Are you 1, exploring starting a career in tech? Or 2, are you an established non-tech professional that you want to pivot into tech? Or 3, are you looking to transition within the industry? So which one is it? So that my examples will be well tailored. All right, I see a lot of 3s in the house. 2 kinda, all right, that's fine. We can work with kinda. It would be nice to have 2 more people chime in, and then I will just move forward. Okay, we have a 2. Awesome. Aha. 3s have it. Okay, that makes my work easy. So today, like the topic of today's conversation, not a lecture, is it's pretty much a shift, and that's kind of the way I want to coin it is what you should do before the shift. Career transition can be awesome, but then it also can be stressful if you're not approaching it very well, right? And that's why we are here today. So why must your transition be strategic? This is my view, right? If you are because you've answered that you are either a 2 or a 3, I assume that you have some years of experience, beneath your belt, right? And so that means that you build some sort of skill, some sort of, I like to call it financial fabric, right? Meaning that you've committed to some things that you have to show up for financially every month, right? And so that means that when you're moving or you're changing careers, you kind of have to be strategic, right? So that you don't lose your earning power or job security. There is nothing that frustrates me, even personally, than seeing somebody with 10, 15 years of experience move into a junior role when they don't have to. And that's the key word, when they don't have to, right? All right. So a little bit about my tech journey, just so that you can understand why, I guess in a way, why I'm qualified to be having this conversation with you. Hi, Carla. I see you. Yeah, so in 15 years, I have occupied 13 different roles. I mean, like, this is literal, right? 13 different roles in tech across 3 functional areas: core technology, product operations, and now transformation. And what I wanted to call out from this experience is the different job titles that I've had to hold. right? So at some point I was dev, I was data engineer, I was SRE, I was a quality assurance analyst, I was the head of customer support, I was a product manager, I am a certified black belt, so I also run improvement projects and stuff like that. And now in the current year, I'm kind of like a, what's the word I'm looking for? A consultant, transformation, whatever you want to call it, professional specialist, all of those things, right? And so because I've gone through all of these experiences, I have come to learn that when you want to make a transition, there are some things that you should know, right? So that you don't end up frustrating yourself. Because anybody looking at me now will say, which foot do I want to put forward? Do I want to stay in data? Do I want to stay in product operations? Do I want to stay in transformation? Right now, I don't usually care about which one you want me to stay in. The question is always, rather, I don't usually care about the job title. I'm just concerned about what do you want me to do, and then I show up for that particular one. And so that's why I want to start by explaining these three concepts before we go too far. And this one I need everybody to please pay attention. So even if you're chewing, please pay attention because it's actually very important. It is important that we understand the difference between these three terms that we tend to use interchangeably in the workplace. A skill is an ability, right? I'll say that again. A skill is an ability. It's something that you can do. I can dance. I can jump. I can speak French. I can I can code in Java. I can program in SQL. I can manage customers. I can sell. I can negotiate. Now these are abilities. Yeah. A job, on the other hand, is a paid position. That's it. And the job usually pays you for the skills you have. Now, the job can give you new skills, which is good, and that's awesome. But primarily, when you come into a job, you are getting paid for the skills you already have. And then the last one is the career. And the career is something, I'll say that again. Your career is something that you want to develop mastery in. Sometimes it may look like a job, but it's not the same thing. And I'll explain later. So your career is something you want to develop mastery in. So if I take a quick poll in the room now, and I ask you guys to say, let's talk about Serena. Serena Williams, what would you say she has developed mastery in? Somebody want to either type it or unmute and just share. What is Serena Williams? What is she known for? What has she developed mastery in? Make sure you help me out here.
Tennis.
Thank you, Carla. I was gonna say, don't leave me hanging. Awesome. Let's look for let me look for somebody else. So tennis, Serena is good at tennis. Let's do Tiger Woods, right? I know I'm using sporting people, but yeah. What is Tiger Woods? What is he known for?
Golf.
Thank you, Bethany. Golf. Now, this is what they have developed mastery in, but you and I, you agree with me that they have different skills more than just playing tennis, right? How you swing, how you watch something. Again, I'm not an expert in these fields, but you understand what I mean, right? And so they have different skills, and usually when it comes to your career, you are deploying different skills to solve one particular problem. And in the case of Serena, is getting the Grand Slam or getting multiple versions of it. In the case of Tiger Woods, is also reaching the pinnacle of golf, right? And that's kind of how I want us to look at our careers. Our careers are not usually tied to a job title. I know I'm probably breaking some tables, but forgive me. It is for your good. But they are more likely tied to the skills you have right now. And that's why you might find it easier to do a role that you may not have thought yourself qualified for. But the reality is that you've actually built the skills for that role, maybe on another job that you're not aware of, right? And so that's kind of what I want us to kind of put at the back of our minds as we go through the session today. All right. So now that we know the difference between a skill, a job, and a career, what next, right? How do you then take that information and move from where you are to where you need to go? So because we are twos and threes in the room, we have an established career, fairly decent, and we want to move somewhere else. What I want to share with you today is what has worked for me and also what has worked for my clients that I coach through this process. And because I had the experience of being a master of a jack of many and a master of a few, I struggled to present one foot forward. What should I say I do? Should I say I'm in IT operations? Should I say I'm in process management? Should I say I'm in customer service? I struggled, right? But one of the things that helped me is, of course, when I was going through the steps, it wasn't that clear. It was after I finished that I realized that, okay, these were the steps I took. So these are the steps that I would like you to consider when you are trying to transition or change your career. Again, if it is a career, and I'm going to ask you at the end of the call, is it a skill you're trying to get? Is it actually you're trying to change jobs, or are you trying to identify your career? Either ways, these three applies. So let's go through them. What's the first step? The step one is for you to unpack yourself, or I call it gain insight. And the reason why I usually recommend that you spend time here is because even though you've occupied a role, so let me give you an example. Let's assume that there is a hotel manager. A hotel manager works in. Okay, so I'm gonna need somebody to help me here. Can somebody please tell me a city in the UK that is more prone to, say, rain, and then one that is, gets rain, but maybe not as rainy? I need an example of each one. Who wants to help me?
Manchester definitely gets the rain.
Okay. So Manchester gets the rain. Who doesn't get as much rain?
And if you say Birmingham, because it still gets rain, but it's not as prolific as Manchester.
Okay. So Birmingham, right?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So imagine you have a hotel manager that is in Birmingham, right? So they wear a title called a hotel manager. And so because there's not a lot of rain, probably what they have experience with is your typical the hotel, the guests are comfortable, yada 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 yada. So they don't have any extra. Now let's flip to Manchester. Let's say that you have the same hotel manager in Manchester, right? But Manchester gets more rain, and all of a sudden they have to worry about how to bring in guests in the middle of rain. And so there's a skill around weather management. I'm probably using the wrong title, but hey, you get what I mean. Now, when you look at, and so they have an extra skill called, I don't know, dealing with the rain. But when you look at both of them on paper as hotel managers, the job title says hotel managers, but they actually don't have the same set of skills. And this is why this step is very important, because you need to be able to abstract yourself from all the job titles you've had and unpack your skills outside of those. Same thing if you were a developer in a startup versus an established company. Same thing if you were a project manager in a multinational versus a local maybe a local company, right? There are some things that you would know more than the other. And so that's why this step is very important. Hopefully that example kind of made sense. So let me just go through what gaining insight looks like. The first thing I would recommend is your personality. Now, I am not one, and when I say personality, depending on which assessment you're familiar with, I am familiar, and I particularly am trained in the MBTI, so I use that a lot. But I know there are a couple of other ones like the choleric, sanguine, yada 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 ones, and different types. Irrespective of whichever one you're familiar with, why this is important is not to put you in a box. No. It's because your personality often reveals your preference for working environments, meaning how you relate with people and how you like to get information and how you like to get work done. And so understanding what makes you tick is important. And it would also influence whether you should go for a startup or even for an established company. Some of you, I'm sure if I take a poll at the end of the call, if I say, okay, how many of you like to have a plan? Some people raise their hand, they like to have a plan. How many of you like to fly by the pants? Some people may raise their hand. This type of preference often influences the kind of job you would enjoy or thrive in, right? And that's why I like to point people to their personality, not because I want to box you, but because I need you to go in empowered. So when you're doing that search, you know what kind of jobs work for you. So that's it. The second thing you should look at when you are getting insight about yourself is your skills. I've already talked about why this is important and not your job title. And the second thing you should do for those skills is the proficiency level. I'm happy to share the proficiency rate card if you guys are not familiar with it after the call, but it looks something from novice to expert. And each step has a description of what makes you qualified for that step, right? And the reason why this is important, sometimes we think that we have a skill, or I have a training skill, or I have a public speaking skill, or I have this, I have that, but on what level, right? And it is the things that you are either a 3 and above that you should be pushing forward, right? So that's it. And then the last one is your professional statement. Now, your professional statement is a 15 to 20 word statement that answers 4 questions. Think of it as your own version of your career elevator pitch. Now, why I like to have people do this is because sometimes at least I struggled with trying to address myself with one job title. And I don't know if you have the same experience, but if you don't, good for you. But if you do struggle to label yourself with one job title because you've done quite a number, then a professional statement will also be good for you. And it must answer 4 questions. And these 4 questions are what you do. I like to keep it as a 2-word job title. Who you do it for. What is the problem that they have when they come to you? And then what is different about the way you solve it? If you can spend time answering these 4 questions, you're already on your way to clarity. And the reason why all these things are important is because of step 2, right? But before I go to step 2, let me see if there's any other question. Out of curiosity, what is my MBTI? I'm an ISTJ. Mercia, I'm an ISTJ. I know, I went through a journey to get that, but yeah, that's it. Does anybody have any questions around gaining insights? I know I said a lot of stuff, so I'm going to pause here. I think the recommended count is 6 seconds to allow you guys to gather your thoughts. If not, you could also give me a thumbs up that you are good, and then I can move on to the next step. Either one works. I have a thumb. All right. Okay. Any other thumbs that you're good? Or okay, Isabella is. I'd like to receive the resource you mentioned for proficiency level afterward. Yes. Oh yes. I can share that afterward. Awesome. Okay. All right. So the next stage when it comes to career transition is step 2, and step 2 is all about exploring options. And again, like the name implies, you want to be able to use your skills, not your job title, to find new destinations at this step, especially when you don't know and you're open-minded. Some of us know what we want. I'm currently a software engineer and I want to be a principal engineer, or I want to be a lead architect. That's fine. That's kind of straightforward. You can just go ahead and do that. But for a number of us, we kind of want to try out, want to explore, and that's why the name is explore, not not go for it. And if you are really exploring, then I would recommend that you use your skills, not your job title, to find your destination roles. Now, it doesn't matter which one you use, whether it's Google, LinkedIn, Indeed, wherever it is that you use to search for jobs, right? Use your skills, not your job title. And you can also search using, you can also conduct a Boolean search. Boolean search is when you say, for example, project management and negotiation, or public speaking, right? So that the search engine kind of just looks through that and brings your combination out for you. But if you know what you want, then go ahead and just skip step 2 and go directly to the job title. However, when you're using your skill, please, please, please use the skills that you have high proficiency in. Remember that the marketplace is exactly that, a marketplace, right? And you're trying to get heard in a marketplace, right? You need to make sure that you are putting your loudest voice or feet forward. I know that you might like UI UX. I know you might like or you may like what's it called? Let me find some other interesting data analysis. But by the time you do your skills inventory in step 1 and the data analysis, the proficiency rate card shows that your data analysis is a 2, which is not a 3. Please, unless you get it to a 3, do not search for. I wouldn't recommend it. And the reason why is because yes, you may get the job, but then that one comes with its own set of drama afterwards, where you have to then kind of keep up with the promise you made during the interview. I'm a big proponent of sell your value to the person that needs it the most and is willing to pay for it. Yeah. So that's it about step 2. Step 2 is pretty much straightforward. Step 1 is where you do a lot of work. And so that then brings us to step 3. Now, step 3, which I have tagged transition safely, right, is also being honest to say, why do I want this transition, right? For a lot of us, it is to make more money, or at least to have more impact, or at least to be happy. But again, I kind of feel like happiness is a lagging indicator. Because it's something that you have to do to then achieve that state. So whether it's money or purpose or being valued, whatever rocks your boat, right? So if you're transitioning because of money, you'll be surprised by how many people don't have a figure for how much they spend every month. No, let me rephrase that. We get salaries, by the way, we get credit, and somehow miraculously at the end of the month or in the next 1 week post payday, the money's gone, right? But then a lot of people can't tell you where that money is going to. If you can, kudos, you are doing well and keep it up. But if you haven't, you should start by having a budget like something that tells you what you do with your money and how much do you need to be a functioning adult or a or a happy and well, a financially stable adult, right? And the reason why this is good for you is because it helps you negotiate better. So today, when we call some figures, which sometimes it feels random because we just take what we're earning before, kind of put a plus or minus, sorry, not minus, a plus plus plus, and then we just throw it out. But when you have a figure that you know is non-negotiable, it helps you in your interviews. So I always recommend people to do a financial need, including what you may even need what the money you need when you move into the job. So if you're moving from non-tech to tech, you might need to set up, laptops, second monitor, ergonomic chair, all of those things. You need to factor that in, so that by the time you're negotiating for your salary, you're not going from a place of stability to instability. Yeah. And then you also need a transition plan. Now, transition plan is nothing fancy. Think of it as, what are you going to be doing every day, every week, or every month towards your goal? So I want to go from project management to Scrum mastering. Okay, maybe that's not a good example because they're kind of like job families. Okay, maybe I want to go from project management to QA analyst. What do I need to be doing every day? It could look like trainings. It could look like networking. It could look like joining and contributing to things in my destination role and stuff like that. It could look like searching for work. You have to be intentional about this because you already have a current 9 to 5 that is demanding your time. If you're not intentional about creating time for that next job, you'll find yourself just after 1 year, you still come back and say, I don't really like this job I'm doing. I don't really like this career I'm doing. I want to change it, but I don't have time. And probably because you don't have a plan, right? And then the last thing that I would recommend for step 3 is use your network. More like use your family, friends. If you're on LinkedIn, you are 3 people away from the hiring manager of your next role. That's not a lot of steps, right? So that means you know somebody that knows somebody that then knows the hiring manager. Use your network. A lot of us, because we are 2s and 3s, and for people that joined later, 2s and 3s they're the poll that is a poll that we took at the beginning of this call on what best described us. And for a lot of us on the call, we are either seasoned tech or non-tech people that want to change our job, career, or acquire a skill. So because we're all 2s and 3s on the call, we already have social capital that we have acquired over the years, whether we are aware of it or not. So this is a good time to go back to that social capital and start to see how they can link you up to your destination role, right? So that's all about step 3, right? So actually, maybe I am not going to use 1 hour. So I'm going to pause here and I'm going to turn on my camera because I've been talking for a while. So the question to us is, now that we've talked about the difference between a skill, a job, and a career, I would like to pose this question to everybody on the call. Which one do you actually want when you think about it? Do you want to learn a new skill called data analysis? Do you want to change a job title, meaning you want to get paid more for the skills you already have? So you want another job that will do that for you? Or do you want to identify a career path, meaning what do I want to develop mastery in? So which one is it for you? Please type or unmute and share. Skill, job, or career?
Skill for me.
Okay, all right. Mercia said career, awesome. Sue said learn a skill, yes. I want to learn a skill to change career, awesome, nice. Change job for thank you. And I think that this level of clarity kind of frees us from some associated frustrations sometimes when your job is not giving you fulfillment and you're like, oh, I want to change my career. I want to change. And I'm like, do you want to change your career really? Do you want to have a new line of mastery? Or do you just want to change the job that will pay you better for the skills you have? But while we want to change our jobs for more pay, we also need to ask ourselves, do I have the kind of skills that commands the kind of money that I'm looking for? That's usually also another tough questions that we need to, a tough question that we need to ask ourselves. And if the answer is no, don't despair. We'll just go ahead and start to upskill ourselves up until that point. I've learned the skills, but they are not enough to change my job yet. Do you mind coming on voice? Because I have a follow-up question for you. Why do you think it's not enough to change the job yet? Is it because of the proficiency level or the buckets of skills?
Hi, do you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Because currently I'm a junior developer, and I
Okay.
think that in the current market they looking for
Mhm.
more, for more years of experience. That's why I'm still looking for, my first job. Yeah, I mean I have
Okay.
freelancing projects, but
Okay.
not enough to land me a full-time role yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. So let me just quickly respond to the phrase experience. Now, experience oftentimes is kind of linked to years of working, right? Or years on a job or something like that. But at the heart of it is the proficiency level that they are looking for. And I will send the rates card after this call to Kevin. I mean, Kevin will share with you guys. And proficiency, or let me even see if I can. Guys, give me a second. I think this proficiency level is really important. Let me see if I can put it up. I know I had sent it to somebody as a screenshot on WhatsApp. So worst case scenario, I'll just blow up my I will blow up my WhatsApp briefly, and you guys can see what I mean by the rate card. Almost there. Awesome. Okay, so let me drive. It's gonna be a bit. Okay. Please let me know if you can. I'm trying to see if I can zoom. Let me see if I can zoom. Okay. Can you guys see this? This is what I'm sharing on the proficiency rate. Please make a sound.
Yeah, I can see it.
All right, awesome. So this is actually what proficiency looks like. Thank you guys. So for Tia, when you say you don't have you don't, oh, exactly. So that's the thing. So the reason is you're at 2. It's not about the years of experience. So the question for you is, what do you need to do to be a 3 or 4? Right now, you are comfortable using the skill and you have some experience applying it, but you may need guidance too. Fantastic. So 3 says you are highly knowledgeable and you can apply this skill independently in different contexts. So let's find more context. Let's find more context to deploy this skill. And it doesn't have to be a paid position. It doesn't even have to be a formal, what's it called? Formal job called 9 to 5, tax, whatever. It could just be projects that you take up on and then you document in either GitHub or wherever repo that you're using to advertise your code. Right? So, and that's why I wanted to, kind of probe your response further. So it's not so much of learning the skills, guys. That's what I want to draw out from this conversation. But the question is how proficient, what's your proficiency level? And now that you know how to assess each proficiency level, question is what do you need to do to get to expert or proficient? For me, I think proficient is a good place to be able to command some level of value. If you can get to expert, awesome. If you can get to mastery, you see why I said career is mastery? Then you are now the one leading and teaching and then talking about this particular path that you've chosen. All right, so I'm going to drop this. I'm going to take this away and come back to what's it called? All right, are there any other questions for me? Yeah, please let me know if that makes sense in terms of how to approach it. Awesome. I'm happy that you're happy. Okay, any other questions around what we've talked about?
Yes, I have a quick question, if that's okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Apologies if
Yes,
I
I can hear
had
you.
missed it at any point. You mentioned about the professional statement and it needing to answer the 4 questions. Could you just reiterate what those 4 questions were?
Yes, you are right. Let me find it and just paste it for you.
Thank you.
So the first one is what you do, but to keep it wrong window. But to keep it okay, double wrong window. Okay, too many wrong windows. Give me a sec. I need to come back to yeah, what was it? Okay. So while I'm looking for the actual text, let me just say it again. So the first one is what you do. I usually would recommend that you keep it to a two-word something. Project manager, content creator, very short and sweet. The second one is who you do it for. It could be industry, it could be a type of company, it could be a category of people. The third one is what is their problem before they come to you or when they come to you. And then the last one is what is different about the way you solve it. And this particular formula, even though it seems so simple, okay, I dropped it in the chat. It could also be revolutionary. So I had one of my somebody that she completed this and then she found out that even she was in customer service, which some people will say is a dime a dozen, and it's just everybody just does customer service. But guess what? Her superpower was that she does it without rework. She does it without rework. If you understand, because I customer service, I understand what actually pro service or meet customer expectations without rework. Now she's not speed, she's roasting work. Now, just having that for me is empowering. It kind of gives me confidence that while I might not toot my own to be a fast customer service person, I am tooting my own to say I do customer service without work. Right. And the question I now need to ask myself is who cares about this thing that I have? And so that's why step 2 is also very important. When you start to explore your next role or employer or the person that is going to pay for your service, you need to make sure that you're in your role to the right people. Because if you just trade and you go to all companies, some companies don't appreciate, they're not interested in the reward element of your statement. They're not. That's just, it could just be a function of management, what stage the company is in, and just what is important at the time. But there is a company that cares about rework at this time in 2024. And that's the kind of company that I should have, gone to sell. Hopefully that helps. Okay, so let's wrap this up. I'm happy that we are actually making good with time. So for me, if you are like, you're welcome, Isabel. If you're like me, you're a jack of all trades but master of a few, and you kind of struggle to figure out which one makes sense, which one is sellable, which one should I put forward, in 20. I'm happy to see if I can help. Again, there is no commitment to it. These things are not just it's not a snap of a finger. We could start with a complimentary call. I could just hear what you're trying to do, what you have, and then if we realize that I can help you, then we can take it forward. But I think it was important to also invite you or let you know that you have options. I think that's really what I've been saying, or what I'm trying to say with a lot of words. But it's happening here, so yeah. And on that note, I'd like to thank you for your time. I hope the session was useful, and just to kind of encourage us and keep us pushing. I want to leave you with this quote from Abraham Lincoln, and it says, "The best way to predict your future is to create it." Thank you very much.